Hello history buffs, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into the final, earth-shattering chapter of World War I, the 100 Days Offensive. This wasn't just one battle. It was a relentless, 96-day storm of steel and strategy that brought the German Empire to its knees and ended the Great War. So, how did the Allies turn the tide so decisively after 4 years of brutal stalemate? Let's find out. The year is 1918. The Western Front has been a meat grinder, a landscape of trenches, mud, and unimaginable loss. Earlier in the spring, Germany launched a massive offensive, the Kaiserschlacht, hoping for a final knockout blow before American troops could arrive in force. It came terrifyingly close to succeeding, pushing the Allies back dozens of miles. But the German army was exhausted, overstretched, and running out of men and supplies. The Allies, battered but not broken, weathered the storm. And now, under a new unified command, they were ready to punch back. Enter the mastermind of the Allied counterattack, French Marshal Ferdinand Foch. Foch wasn't planning another head-on, attritional battle. His vision was different. He saw the German front line as a series of vulnerable bulges created by their own spring offensive. Instead of a single, massive push, Foch planned a series of rapid, successive, and concentric attacks all along the front. The goal was to hit the Germans from different directions, never letting them rest, recover, or reorganize their defenses. It was a strategy of relentless pressure, designed to shatter their morale and break their will to fight. The opening act of this grand strategy began before dawn on August 8, 1918, near the city of Amiens. In dense fog, a massive force of Australian, Canadian, British, and French troops, supported by over 500 tanks and nearly 2,000 aircraft, crashed into the German lines. The element of surprise was total. The new combined arms tactics were devastatingly effective. Tanks, infantry, artillery, and air power worked in perfect, deadly harmony. The German defenses, which had held for years, simply disintegrated in a single day. The Allies advanced up to 8 miles, a staggering distance by World War I standards. They captured thousands of prisoners and inflicted crippling losses. For the German High Command, it was a catastrophe. General Erich Ludendorff, one of Germany's chief military architects, would later call August 8th the Black Day of the German army. It wasn't just the loss of ground or men. It was the collapse of morale. Entire German units were surrendering without much of a fight, something that was unthinkable just months earlier. The psychological blow was immense. Ludendorff knew then and there that the war could no longer be won on the battlefield. The question was no longer how to win, but how to avoid total annihilation. But Foch gave the Germans no time to breathe. As the Amiens offensive slowed, he didn't stop. He simply shifted the point of attack. New offensives erupted all along the line. To the south, French forces hammered away, while British and Commonwealth armies pushed relentlessly in the center. The strategy was working perfectly. The Germans were forced to shuttle their dwindling reserves from one crisis point to another. Constantly on the back foot, their entire front line teetering on the brink of collapse. The ultimate prize for the Allies was the formidable Hindenburg Line. This wasn't just a trench. It was a vast, deep, and complex system of concrete bunkers, machine gun nests, and barbed wire entanglements, considered by the Germans to be impregnable. It was their last and strongest line of defense. Breaking it was seen as the key to winning the war. In late September, the Allies launched a coordinated, multi-pronged assault on this legendary defensive system. The Battle of St. Quentin Canal saw British, Australian, and American troops perform one of the most daring feats of the war, crossing a heavily defended canal and breaching the line. At the same time, the newly arrived and eager American Expeditionary Forces, under General John J. Pershing, launched their largest offensive of the war in the Meuse-Argonne region. This was a brutal, grinding fight through dense forest and fortified hills. But the sheer numbers and ferocity of the American doughboys added immense pressure on the already crumbling German army. The combined arms tactics that proved so successful at Amiens were refined and used on an even grander scale. Artillery barrages were no longer just about pulverizing the ground. They were carefully timed creeping barrages that moved just ahead of the advancing infantry, providing a curtain of fire and steel. Tanks, once clumsy and unreliable, were now more robust, used to smash through barbed wire and destroy machine gun posts. Above aircraft weren't just for reconnaissance. They were actively strafing enemy trenches, bombing supply lines, and engaging in dogfights to control the skies. This symphony of destruction was something the world had never seen before. By October, the Hindenburg Line was broken in multiple places. The German army was in a full-scale retreat across the front. The strategic withdrawal was orderly at first, but it quickly became a desperate scramble to escape the Allied advance. The German war machine was falling apart from the inside out. Decades of footage from this period show the stark contrast. Determined Allied soldiers advancing past abandoned equipment, while weary, demoralized German prisoners were marched to the rear. The military collapse on the Western Front had a profound impact back in Germany. The population, already starving due to the Allied naval blockade, had been told for years that victory was just around the corner. Now, the truth of their desperate situation became undeniable. Unrest and revolution began to bubble to the surface. Sailors in the German high seas fleet mutiny in Kiel, refusing a suicidal final sortie against the British Royal Navy. This spark ignited a nationwide revolution. The Kaiser was forced to abdicate, and a new republic was declared, with their army defeated in the field, and their government collapsing at home. Germany had no choice but to sue for peace. On November 11, 1918, at 5 a.m. in a railway carriage in the forest of Compiègne, German delegates signed the armistice agreement. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the guns on the Western Front finally fell silent. The 100 Days Offensive was the final, decisive campaign that brought an end to 4 years of horrific warfare. It was a masterpiece of strategic planning by Foch and a testament to the courage and sacrifice of the Allied soldiers from Britain, France, Australia, Canada, America, and many other nations. It showcased the evolution of warfare, moving from the static trenches of 1914 to the dynamic combined arms operations that would define the future of combat. It was a brutal, costly, but ultimately successful campaign that ended the Great War and reshaped the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the final days of World War I interesting, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history. Let us know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see us cover. Until next time, stay curious.